You're watching VATV, bringing Brookline home.
Joel, the host and producer of this program, Senior Scene, which attempts to explain and talk about all the creative and innovative things that seniors do, particularly those at the center. Today, we have a very exciting program because it connects Brookline with the rest of the world, which is a very exciting idea. The program talks about the initiative from the World Health Organization, and the initiative is called Friendly City Initiative.
Age-friendly city.
I always forget the age. I wonder why. Age-friendly city, and I have with me 3 guests who are very knowledgeable about this program. My first guest is Nancy Daly, who's a member of the Board of Selectmen and a co-chairperson of the Brookline Age-Friendly Initiative. And Roger Flood, who is Blood. I wonder why I did that.
Just like Red Cross.
Roger Blood, who is chairman of the Brookline Housing Advocacy Board.
Advisory Board.
Advisory Board. Well, we might as well start all
It's
over.
advocacy too, almost completely.
And Frank Crane, who is also a co-chairperson of the Brookline Age-Friendly Program Initiative, really it is. Frank is also chairman and co-chairman of anything in Brookline that has to do with making Brookline livable. I don't think he sleeps. Frank, tell us about the World Health Organization initiative, Age-Friendly City.
Okay, I'm happy to say a little bit about it. First, I should say that the World Health Organization is the public health arm of the United Nations. The organization is based in Switzerland, and it engages in a wide variety of programs to try to improve public health around the world. And the Age-Friendly Cities initiative is just one of its many activities. And what this particular program does is it encourages municipalities to commit themselves to doing a variety of things to try to make their communities more livable, more habitable, healthier for older residents. And one of the ideas is that these programs are supposed to have multiple aspects. They're supposed to kind of look not only at health, but housing, transportation, participation on the part of older people in the life of the community, and even matters like employment. And what it does is it invites communities to make a commitment over a period of years to kind of look at how well they're doing initially, identifying some things that they want to work on, and then developing plans, implementing those plans, assessing what they accomplish, and then trying to move forward.
Do they report back to the World Health Organization?
Yes, the participating communities are expected to report back on what they accomplish. Yes.
Are there yearly meetings?
There are occasional meetings of communities that participate in this initiative. Last fall there was a meeting in Quebec City in Canada.
Sounds good. Now, how is Brookline associated with this?
Well, Brookline is one of a very modest number of municipalities in the United States that is participating. We are the only one in New England that is participating. Yes, there are some major cities.
That's because we're so good. That's because it's Massachusetts.
There are some major cities that are involved. The first in the United States to participate was Portland, Oregon. Philadelphia, New York City are big cities that are participating, and also Chicago. Brookline got involved kind of in a sense as a kind of an offshoot of the work of the Brookline Community Aging Network, and specifically the Livable Community Advocacy Committee. In that committee, we've been trying to call attention to Brookline's good features and trying to urge the town to do a little bit better in one way or another. And one of the things that we realized early on is that we were getting extremely good cooperation from town departments. That there's really a very great receptivity to really nearly everything that we suggested. And so it occurred to me that that when we learned about the Age Friendly Cities program, that would be a good thing for the town to do. It would take us a step further because it represented a commitment on the part of the town.
Yes.
To kind of really engage in these efforts to make Brookline a better place for older people and other people as well to live. And so it wasn't, just our organization on the outside trying to encourage the town to do better, but it would represent a real commitment on the part of all aspects of the town to get involved. And I should say that then when we approached the town to participate, we got very good response from the Board of Selectmen, and Nancy Daly was involved right from the beginning. The Board of Selectmen appointed a committee to work on development of a proposal, and Nancy has been the Board of Selectmen's representative on that
on the application.
Well, first in planning and application, and then as once we were approved and became part of the network, Nancy has co-chaired a committee that is working on
Tell us
Brookline's
about that
initiative.
application.
Well, Frank came to us with the idea, but we were very enthusiastic about it because certainly when you look at the demographic statistics for Brookline, our seniors population is growing. And
Every day, it
every
seems.
day. And you know why? Because we do have public transportation,
Right.
and we do have a reasonably walkable community for many parts of town. And so but it was we were excited about the idea of getting involved with this because we do see that we have a significant base of seniors and would like to continue improving things for that population. So we had on our committee that Frank and I co-chaired, we had a representative from the library and a representative from the health department, and we had who else?
Citizens with a number of
citizens, a number of
interests.
citizens that had interests or connections in different areas. And it was very good because I think it made people stop and think a little bit about where we could improve things a little bit better. And as a result of putting that report together, we kind of stimulated a number of things, like the building department kind of went through some of our buildings and thought about marking stairs better so that low vision people could see when they were going upstairs. The library people had somebody come in from Boston University, I believe,
Right.
to give them some suggestions about making their buildings more friendly for seniors and disabled. And I worked with Ruth Ann Dobeck from the Senior Center on our part of it. Our committee was called Social Participation, and we worked on the health fair with the
yes.
Center Communities of Brookline to get, because what I think we discovered in this process was that we have a lot of things for seniors, and it was a question though of getting that information out there, improving where we could, and that's where Frank took off with the housing part of it. and Roger, of course, and others joined him on that. But you know, so I think it was kind of the whole process helped to open all of our eyes and get us thinking about, you know, what are the areas we could improve.
Now, this application outlines some of these areas.
Mm-hmm.
And you could choose which ones you wanted to be connected to, or you just choose several of them.
We chose as many as we could, I think.
Well, actually, it turned out that there were 10 town departments that wanted to be involved. And
10
some of them
town-
actually approached us and said they wanted to be sure to be included. So it represents a very broad commitment on the part of the town. I should say that one of the expectations for municipalities that participate in this program is that the letter of commitment comes from the top elected official, usually the mayor. In the case of Brookline, it's the chair of the Board of Selectmen. And so it's very significant that the Board of Selectmen appointed a selectmen's committee to oversee the program, and that means that we have really open access to the selectmen to report back on what we're accomplishing.
Now, what happened to the application once you
Well, we submitted it to the World Health Organization, and Frank heard back in.
It was accepted.
It
And
was
we got
accepted.
a very nice
We got
certificate.
certificate.
And we printed out the certificate. We had it framed. We have a very nice photograph of the Board of
Where does
Selectmen.
it stand?
It's in the Selectmen's Conference Room, but I've actually been thinking we should find a little more prominent spot for it, because
I think
we
so.
see it and there, but
Yeah.
I don't know whether anybody else really gets a chance to see it.
And when was that? When were we accepted?
It was about a year ago.
About a year ago.
2012?
I think it was the beginning of 2013, maybe, was it? Or
Well, I think it was December of
December,
2012.
okay, yeah, so the end of 12, yeah.
So that's a real thing. That's something to really celebrate,
It definitely is, yes.
because you now belong with several other places in the United States
Uh-huh.
that are part of this program. In addition to which, this is an attempt to belong to the world,
Right.
which is the most exciting part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once you chose, once you saw all the possibilities that the application outlined, did we focus on one thing in particular? Was it housing?
Well, housing is,
Well, there are quite a number of things that we're trying to work on, but we want to particularly talk about housing today, really for two reasons. Kind of one is that it is an extremely important part of the needs of older people, and it turns out to be an area in which, kind of in spite of the challenges that are associated with housing, it's one in which we have made significant progress in this past year. And I should kind of say with that a couple of aspects are really key. I mean, one is that the Housing Advisory Board really embraced our interest in working on this. They previously had some interest that Roger will talk about. But this kind of really opened up possibilities to kind of really build on the interest which was already there. And we had some really excellent staff work that was done for us by Fran Price, who is on the staff of the Department of Housing and Community Development. Fran has since retired, but in the period, about a 6-month period, she really put a lot of work in on it.
Tell us about your organization and what you people did.
well, the Housing Advisory Board is kind of the town's point organization for advocating for affordable housing, a great part of that for affordable housing for seniors. Livability, of course, is very much tied to housing, and that has to be, in turn, affordable. So, as Frank mentioned, our board and the staff at the town's housing division in Town Hall was delighted to pick up on Frank's presentation to us, and then not only endorse the program so that the town would be having this status of participating with other progressive cities, but also to then take some actions locally to really do something in addition. And I might mention just a couple of things that we worked on successfully shortly after we
Yes,
got
I'd like to hear about that.
designation. The Housing Advisory Board, the staff, and Frank's group and several others put on a forum down at the Holiday Inn and Beacon Street for what the town can do and what development can take place that's not only age-friendly but suitable for the town. And that was extremely well attended. There were a number of outside presenters giving different models and approaches that can be taken to produce additional housing. And there was also a strong expression of support for doing what might be done to help seniors not only live in specialized senior housing, but those who want to remain as seniors in their long-time homes, to see what the town might do to encourage and empower that as well.
So what were some of the things that were done?
Well, following that, again, the Housing Advisory Board, working with Frank and several others in Town Hall, looked at this area of helping seniors to be able to age at home and have the proper support and knowledge to do so. And we've produced a piece which we're now trying to get disseminated as widely as possible. So this show is a good thing for that, that will really give seniors in this at-home situation some guidance as to what the town can help them with through the building department and the planning department at Town
Like
Hall.
what?
Ways that they can modify their home as they age to meet special needs such as caregiving, extended family living, and even the possibility of sharing the housing in a way that someone can help take care of the house or help with the the economic side as well as the supportive side of living there.
Who oversees that?
It's not a formal program, but the building department is the initial stopping point for seniors that want to learn more and have questions once they've looked over this piece that's called Aging at Home. And that's posted on the town's website for people to see, as well as, I believe, available through added through the Senior Center.
Yes, and actually one of the things which is in the works is a formal collaboration between the Senior Center and the Building Department, and we expect really sometime early this year that there'll be an announcement of what might be called a shared housing advisory service, so that older people who have an interest in home sharing in one way or another can start with an advisor at the Senior Center who will make then a referral to the Building Department. So this is, kind of one of the things that we're kind of accomplishing is really drawing on resources that are already there, creating a useful collaboration between town departments.
Yeah, we should
didn't
mention
exist
too that
before.
the town does allow seniors, if they want to defer their taxes. I think there's some interest, but when you ultimately leave the home and the home is sold, at that time those back taxes with whatever interest would have to be paid. But there is, if somebody wanted to stay in their house and the tax burden was too high, they can talk to the treasurer's office. And
Well, that's one
Yeah,
thing.
that program.
one
That's
thing.
very interesting, and that should really be known, be pushed through the town.
That's something we've been working on with the town's assessor, Gary McCabe. He's really been very kind of receptive to strategies that would help older people to have better understanding
Yeah.
of those options of dealing with property taxes.
Another thing that's become clearer, I think, even just through the emergence of this program and people's awareness of it, and this came out strongly at the forum that I mentioned, is that housing, as important as it is not something for seniors that can be looked at in isolation. That as people age more and more, a variety of services need to be brought to bear in support of older citizens as they remain in their housing, perhaps even more so than if they're already in, say, supportive living or assisted living situations. And so there's a variety of areas that are being explored and brought to bear in that sense as well.
It's fascinating to hear how much is being looked at and thought about. it's getting that information out that seems to be the difficulty.
Yeah.
Because I am, for the first time, hearing about some of these things, and I thought, you know, that I usually know what's going on in the town.
Well, actually, I mean, that's a kind of a major theme of our Age-Friendly Cities initiative is getting information out to
Yeah.
residents, because we, you know, the town really does offer a great deal, and you know, we live in a world in which we're inundated with information, and you know, kind of so much information that it's difficult to absorb, and actually one of the challenges for us is to get the information that we need on a timely basis. And so that's one thing that is really a very high priority for us in this initiative, is getting information out.
Now, who would be involved in that, in getting information out? Would you be would you create a committee? Would you
Well, we
hire
have-
somebody to do that?
Well, we have a point person on it. We have a volunteer,
You do?
Matt Weiss, who is leading that effort, and he's working closely with the Brookline CAN Communications Committee, and you know, so.
Well, and
something
in
we're
addition, I
working
think
on.
we've been trying to ask various town departments to step up their efforts to, you know, publish pamphlets or whatever that would make some of this information more widely known.
And of course, not to forget the town's website, which is very rich and robust with all kinds of information. It's www.brooklinema.gov.
You want to do that again for
Yeah,
people?
sure do. www.brooklinema.gov.
So it's
And
www.brooklinema.gov.
yeah. Together we'll get this right.
You don't put the dot, then the whole thing goes.
Right.
You know how many times that has happened?
Well,
to me?
you know what? You can just type into your search engine Brookline, Mass, and it will give you that as one of the choices. So you don't actually have to remember the
dot.
the dots.
You know, Betty, in the few minutes that are remaining, I would like us to talk a little bit about the Brookline's need for expanded senior housing. You know, one of the kind of realities that we talked about at the forum last spring is that aging baby boomers represent the fastest growing segment of Brookline's population. That cohort increased in numbers by 40.
All of us.
Yeah.
40% in the past decade, and kind of looking ahead, the special housing needs of that group is really going to need attention. And Brookline is fortunate. I mean, as kind of Nancy mentioned earlier, I mean, we are a terrific place for older people to live because of it starts out with the public transportation, the density of housing, the apartment condo buildings in the Beacon Street corridor in particular, and and all the commercial and social, health, cultural services that
And the
have been
senior
developed.
center.
Well, that's all part of that configuration, which really makes it a terrific place for older people to live.
Oh, it is.
And there's reason for more older people to want to live in that segment. And the sort of the challenge for Brookline, one of the challenges and opportunities is really to figure out how to do that. And kind of a major part of the forum was really kind of talking about the possibilities for expanded housing, kind of given that there are no subsidies that are really available right now for expanded housing, and Brookline is all built up, so we don't have a lot of vacant land, particularly in that area.
Most of the developers who do this sort of thing for senior housing, they want large scale and big
Yeah.
high rise, and
Yeah.
that's a particularly challenging thing. Brookline has done some good things with senior housing, but a lot of it has been small scale and more friendly in a way toward the community.
And we had we had presentations by two three very strong nonprofit developers. One is Hebrew Senior Life, which already operates three residences here in Brookline, two of them on Center Street, and we also had a presentation from Amy Scheckman, who is a Brookline resident and former town employee, who is now with Jewish Housing for the elderly, who has major developments in Newton and Brighton, so close to us, and actually an interest in doing something at
And Hebrew
Brookline.
Senior Living is terrific. We've worked with them in the past very productively to create affordable housing for seniors within their complexes. But at present, they're an ideal party to advance the goals of Brookline can, because they have the resources, they still have property that can be
That's the
created.
big thing, that they still have property.
They do, and they have this great combination of the ability to bring other services into the housing that they own and operate.
Yeah.
So it's a good combination, and we all want to give them a lot of
I
support.
thought for one of the fascinating things I learned at that housing forum was that, and I mean, this was coming from these nonprofit assisted living places, so we'll take it with a grain of salt since that's their business. But they were saying that statistically, people actually live longer and are healthier and happier in these assisted living facilities because there's a lot of social activities right on the site and so forth. So.
And everything is done for you.
Yeah.
Well, we have the experience here in Brookline that there are really kind of significant numbers of people who have had experience with older relatives who have lived, particularly in center communities. They have earned a terrific reputation for kind of being very accommodating to older people, and it's been kind of really very helpful for many families, and in having an aging parent live close by. And
Right.
What-
Okay, we have to really come to an end, but I thought I would point out the exciting thing about this whole movement and this joining the
Friendly Cities Initiative.
the Age-Friendly Cities Initiative is that it very much ties into the BCAN idea of making Brookline livable. And in adopting these programs and listening to all the other aspects that have come out of this program, we can see that we are moving in that direction and moving in that and really going forward. The big thing is land, money, and information. I mean, those are the three things that we
Well
need
put.
to work on very much. I do appreciate your coming and talking to us about this idea.
Well, thank
because
you
it
for
is
having
so,
us.
Thank you very much.
It's so exciting because it moves Brookline from here to there. And that's, I think, one of the very interesting and exciting things for any committee or any group to be part of.